An ally has been slain.
This is just gonna be a fun little server side podcast where we just talk shit, get to know each other, bring on some other people, basically just go on like rambles and tangents. And for episode 1, this is gonna be our introduction episode. So let's just get into it. My name is Richard. I'm a fucking nerd. This is my honor shirt. I'm an honor student at Sam Houston State University. I graduated from high school when I was 15. Big academic nerd. I'm a pre-law. My majors are currently communications and with 2 minors in political science and criminal justice, trying to become a civil attorney. Booher is...
Hello, I'm Booher. I'm also going to university for graphic design, University of Nevada, Las Vegas, because Las Vegas is just cool like that. I currently also work at a graphics company where we do printing and graphics work, so I'm pretty much responsible for editing photos for something called e-commerce, which is all the photos you look at when you're on Amazon and everything. Hopefully going to get out of that and get a job with some gaming company to do concept art and stuff.
Nice.
What else do I need?
Come on. I got you. This is why we're calling it Full-INT. We have like the vague outline of structure, but we're just fucking running it.
Yeah,
but,
pretty much.
Yeah. So majors. I guess I'll start off with talking about hobbies, because Booher and I actually share a lot of hobbies, but we're both gamers. You can see it by the headset.
Obviously, clearly.
Yeah, obviously, clearly. And if you know either one of us, you'll figure it out. I'm also an academic. I like to read like books and research papers and do all like the nerd shit behind the scenes. I do a little bit of fitness stuff, and then I'm pretty into games like League of Legends, TFT, Slay the Spire, and competitive Pokemon. In League, I peaked P3, and then perennial like platinum, high gold-ish player. And in Pokemon, I was a top 20 player on the UU leaderboard for 3 years in a row, back to back to back. And I had a top 16 placement on a showdown tournament.
Very
Booher,
good.
on the other hand, also has his gaming achievements, if you want to flex on him real quick.
Very good. So I also play League of Legends, which I feel like is a shared commonality between everyone and anyone. If you aren't playing League, you should be playing League of Legends. We got to recruit more people into the suffering from Arcane. I peaked Plat 2, and famously that season, I stopped playing. Even though I could have kept going and my MMR was good, I let myself decay back into gold on the very last day. So I got gold rewards instead of plat rewards, because that was epic. Some rhythm games here and then. OS I'm alright at. Muse Dash, top 100 usually on leaderboards. And then fighting games are also very good. Played one of my more famous ones was Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, where I was playing semi-pro. Unfortunately, the game is kind of bad, so it died. Except in everywhere except in Japan. So much for that. And now I'm just kind of coasting through the gaming etherverse, finding my place.
He says he's coasting through the gaming etherverse, and the game died. But this man also kind of ruined North American Grand Blue.
Oh yeah, I kind of ruined the game for everyone. I don't want to say I ruined the game for everyone, but I was definitely a contribution to it. So I would purposefully, so the way the game works is it works in a lettering system. So it goes C, B, A. So obviously A being one of the highest, and then we'll go S, double S, triple S. And even though I was like, at the time, it was very hard to get triple S. In North America, there was actually no triple S players and like only like 5 double S players at the time. And because I was just trying to get better, and queue times were so long for S rank players since there were so few of them, I would actually purposefully int once I got into S to go back down into A to play more games because there were more people in A. But as a result, anyone from A trying to get into S, I would beat them and keep them in A, and then I would get back in S and fight them again, essentially ruin their promos and keep them in A. And there were some people that kept rematching me so much that I would actually demote them all the way down to B tier. And then they'd have to work their way back into A to fight me again. So,
is the fighting game equivalent of climbing up a mountain like near the peak?
And just kicking someone off.
Kicking down.
Just kicking anyone trying to climb the mountain down. And that
This
game is
fucking
ridiculously
bastard.
hard to climb in too, so
Yeah.
it's not a
This
rewarding
fucking-
system.
This bastard had the audacity to be like, "Where are the S rank players? Where are they?"
Yeah, there's not enough of them. People should have just
Yeah, I wonder why.
tried
Brandon.
harder. Yeah, I wonder what
Didn't you
happened.
didn't you get noticed by some other low Waynes too stealing your tech on the early parts of the game?
Yeah, so I played a character called Lil Wayne, and there weren't a lot of Lil Wayne players. It was mostly for memes because he is like a meme character, and like professionally was only seen by like very few people. And there was some tech that I would like to think I came up with, and then people started doing it later. I think it was more of like I was doing it alongside some other like actual professional players doing it. But we're just doing it alongside each other, and then I saw some people teching it, which means they were essentially just doing the same things on ladder. And I was like, oh, that's cool. That's what I do.
Yeah, great minds fucking think alike. But outside of Grand Blue and gaming, what else do you do, Brandon?
Art. I see the background's all art. Like I said, I'm becoming a graphic designer. I hope to one day join a gaming company to become a concept artist. I played tennis for a little bit. You can't. Oh, hold on, I can just do this. I played tennis for a little bit.
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
That was a transition.
Yeah.
I play piano-ish. I play like 3 songs. I used to be able to play more, and then I stopped playing, so I forgot all of them. Then I mean, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, what do I not do at this point?
Yeah, didn't you also play like the fucking kalimba at some point?
I used to play the kalimba. The kalimba's awesome. The kalimba,
Yeah,
to
you
be
have
fair,
played
the kalimba's it's easy to play, hard to master, is what I'll say.
Yeah. Don't you
So-
also have like a deep history with card games too?
Oh, I love card games. Card games are great.
Yeah.
Runeterra is top tier. If you don't agree with me, I'm sorry, you're wrong. That's just how it is. You cannot play Magic the Gathering or Hearthstone and tell me Runeterra is not just better than both of those games.
One's
My
older and
camera's, like,
cooler
having
though.
a freak
You're
out right
cringe.
now.
Yeah. Huh?
Magic's a lot of fun too, but it's just sometimes there's some wacky stuff in that game.
Yeah. I know you do some like sculptures and stuff too, because you do like all kinds of art. We see the fucking big ass dragon head in the background. What
Yeah,
the hell
I
is that
got
about?
That was for a class we played. We didn't play. I didn't play. I smurfed.
You smirked.
So that
dumb.
goes on your head is for a costume. And then when I used to vape. I quit. But it used to look really cool because I put that on and then just breathe actual fire. But
Let's fucking go.
thankfully I quit, so I'm not dying
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, so you're not fucking dying.
I'm not the only card game player. You can play some card games.
Oh yeah, I do. I played a lot of Hearthstone in the early expansion. I think my peak was like rank 14, rank 13, somewhere in there. I play like I said before, I play Slay the Spire a lot. I also play Runeterra with Brandon, even though only one of us plays the card game. The other one net decks and runs at someone like a dog, and he's not the net decker. I can't
Wait.
build decks for shit. Yeah, I can.
True.
But I have a history with strategy games like competitive Pokemon, so it's easy for me to pick up on patterns and stuff. And because I'm a comms major, I'm used to like reading people. So there'll be some fights where Brandon and I will play against each other, where he's just better, but I'm a dog. So I'll just net deck and run while he's trying to lap shit.
I mean, I neck deck too.
Yeah, that's true.
Except there's some times where I meme.
Yeah. Speaking of net decks and stuff, though, what are your top threes in terms of what you're enjoying in Runeterra?
The
Your
top-
big archetypes. Yeah.
Oh, like card archetypes, like
Yeah,
meta
card
decks and
archetypes, yeah,
whatnot.
Yeah.
Oh boy, Pantheon's fun as hell. I think most
Yeah.
people right now are in an agreement, like in the community as a whole, like the general read is that Pantheon is really good, but really fun. So I think everyone recognizes that he's kind of broken, but they're not going to nerf Pantheon just because of how fun he is. It's like a weird case where if you're fighting Pantheon, some people will think it's dumb, but a lot of people think that it's just that deck is so much fun that they don't even really care if they're getting beat by Pantheon deck because it's fun to like just watch him go off.
I actually haven't fought the new Pantheon, so what does that guy do?
So essentially, he's based around buffing your units every turn. So he levels up if you've targeted your allies once every how do I explain that? You have to target your allies in 5 different turns to level them up. And then once you do that, he'll gain a keyword for every time you've targeted an ally in a unique turn.
Oh shit.
So he'll just get a bunch of keywords, but then since he's in a buff deck, you kind of want to play him like slightly early and then buff him. And then he also works off of a keyword called Faded, which means that when you buff a card that's faded or target them, they'll get +1/+1. So they get more buffs for being buffed. So they just get swole.
It's like a mid-range kind of buff deck, right?
Yeah, pretty much. It's mostly mid-range. Fiora is really cool. Fiora's not good right now, but I think she's always really fun. My third deck would probably be, because I'm always trying to make wacky cards work. I try to make Victor work. He's just terrible. Slotbot will always be up there for me. Like some kind of weird discard deck. Slotbot's up there. Like although like that meme territory is pretty good. But what I've been playing lately is Malphite Talia. There's like big memes around how Malphite was really bad, and then Mego Mogwai came out with like this deck list that was like actually nuts. And then I've also been playing another one of his decks, which is Swain. It's something wacky. It's like Swain.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it is, but it's like something you wouldn't expect.
For the people who don't play Runeterra though, can you let us know what does Fiora do? What's Talia Malphite? What's Swain? Like whatever. Like what is the decks actually like in terms of like card game archetypes and how they play?
Okay, so Talia Malphite works off of a card called Landmarks, and they're essentially, so they're not a unit, which means they're not like an actual dude, but they're also not a spell. Because spells, you play them and they go away. So Landmark will just like sit on your board, and it's pretty much, you pretty much can't interact with it. Except there are specific cards that say they can touch landmarks, but other than that, you can't interact with them. And they usually have a static ability that can carry out throughout the game. So like it might say every turn reduce a card in your hand by to a 0 cost, and that card is called Targon's Peak. And then you'll also have landmarks that have a countdown on them. So you'll play them, and they'll have like a countdown of 3, and once they reach 0, they'll destroy itself, and it'll do something.
Wait, how does the countdown work? Is it just counts down over turns or what?
Yeah, so every turn it'll count down 1. So you count down 1 at the start of every turn, and then once it hits 0, its effect will pop. So one of them is for like Shurima has one where once its countdown hits 0, it'll make your strongest card gain 4 attack, for instance. And the Talia Malphite deck works off of, because they both level up off of landmarks, depending on how many landmarks you play. And essentially, you ramp up your landmarks, so you just play a bunch of landmarks, and you try to pop them to gain special resources or bonuses, like gaining extra mana, or making your unit stronger, or summoning more units just through landmarks alone. So it'll count down to 0, and you might summon a guy, or you might buff a guy, or you might get an extra mana. And then the end goal is to play one card, I don't remember what it's called, but it gives all your champions +2/+2 in Overwhelm if you've destroyed 4 landmarks. So once you've done that, you can essentially play that card and it'll buff your champions. So your win condition is Talia and Malphite. And what Talia does once she's leveled up is that whatever unit is blocking her, she'll throw 3 rocks at them that do 2 damage. And then now she has Overwhelm. So essentially whoever's blocking her, she'll kill them, and then she'll hit the face directly. And then Malphite is like similar, so he's just a really big unit. He costs a lot of mana, he's just a really big unit. So once you give him Overwhelm, it's really good. But once he levels up, he can also stun the entire enemy board, which means that they can't block with any of their units. So then he kind of like, you just finish with one of those. The Swain deck is just like pretty much a basic control deck. Like I'm just going to kill all your units and then eventually swing in for a kill. And then the other decks I mentioned were like pretty much meme decks where you don't really have a win condition. Your win condition is just having fun. And if you win, you win.
Yeah, Fiora was good for a little bit. Her win
Fiora, I forgot about Fiora. Fiora is essentially, as long as she kills 4 units without dying, you win the game, period. If you can do that, very good. And at the beginning of the game when it came out, she was actually pretty good. I would say she's like a B tier deck. If we're using the S tier system, then like maybe an A tier deck, like BA. So not like quite top tier, but pretty close to it. And then over time, she's gotten brought in lower and lower. She actually had to get nerfed because of how good she was. So she went from a 3/3 to a 3/2. So now it's easier to kill her. And she's coming down, but there's been a lot of speculation with the new cards they're revealing that eventually she'll come up and take the reins again. Be very good.
Yeah, rise to the peaks.
Exactly.
So Booher likes to play a lot of like mid-range and aggro, like leaning towards there, and then
Mhm.
gimmicks if he's just trying to let loose. I'm on the other side of it where I also like to play mid-range, but I love control. So my favorite deck in the entirety of Legends of Runeterra is based around a card called War Mother's Call.
Oh boy.
So, so in Runeterra, you have like regular mana, and then you have spell mana that you can save up. And this card, War Mother, so at a maximum of like 13, right? War Mothers is one of, if not the most expensive card in the game. It's 12 mana. And you're like, what the fuck makes that worth it? Well, my friend, War Mothers summons any card from your deck randomly and puts it onto the field for free, regardless of the mana. So you can just shove your deck full of big boys, and then you control them, and you wait, and you slap them down and dog at them. It's like old Innovate Druid from Hearthstone, or
Oh, it is, yeah,
basically Exodia at that point, where you just write off free value. And a lot of the cards in the War Mothers archetypes are like really big boys. So like She Who Watches, there's a champion called Tryndamere who just comes out and wins the game because he's a fat boy. He has overwhelm. He's at 9/9, and if he dies, he comes back. After that, there's multiple versions of that. There's like the Ladros version. There's the stat stick version, Tryndamere Trundle, that's come out recently. But aside from War Mothers, my other favorite deck is also a degen deck, and it's based around my favorite character, Sejuani. It is also a Freljord deck. All of my decks are Freljord decks. I love being a fucking asshole. I am a black player in Magic. I love Counterspell. I like when people do not have fun. So, what I do is I play Freljord, which has a gimmick called Frostbite, which means that you reduce a unit's attack to 0 in combat, and all your cards have fun effects with them. So basically, any aggro players queuing into me don't get to play the game. Any control players who queue into me don't get to play the game. And if they do beat me, it takes 10 years. And what the Sejuani deck does is after you frostbite enemies, I think I might be wrong, but I think it frostbites the whole board, right? After she levels up.
Well, with Sejuani?
Seju. Yeah,
yes.
Seju.
Yeah, she'll frostbite everything.
Yeah, and all you have to do is like deal damage to your opponent like in that turn, and all her cards have like cool effects. Like buff your guy, summon a guy, and in the card I play her with, Misfortune, whenever you attack, you do 1 damage to face and the entire board. So it procs those effects and you have your synergy. And there's a little card I love called Vandal Rat Bastard. I forgot his name. But he's a little 4 mana 3/3 who steals a card from your opponent's deck off the top and gives it to you. Like Edward Weevil from fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! You just go yoink. There's a little requirement where you have to have a card that matches his archetype at the top, but that it don't matter. It works all the time,
always
baby.
Hit it. You just always hit it.
You just always hit it. My third favorite deck is based all around another gimmick card. So I like control and I like memes, but all my control decks are fucking assholes, right? Brandon will at least end the game quickly. I will not.
I can tell you, like, Richard is the type to play. If you ever play Magic the Gathering, he will play mono blue. And just his win condition is making sure you don't have fun and you surrender. That's the win condition.
My third favorite deck, the most fun I can get is a card called Howling Abyss, which is a control card for 6 mana, which summons 2 upgraded champions. Champions in Runeterra are the strongest cards in the game because of their stat values, and they're only balanced by the fact that they're limited. Howling Abyss gives you one of these super strong cards that you normally build a deck around in your hand for free every single turn. The downside is a lot of them have synergies that you just don't get to use. But it don't matter when they're too chunky, when they're too big boy. So I just run Freljord plus like Shadow Isles for control. I just play my Howling Abyss and Huff Paint. It's great.
Yeah, some of the champions are just good on their own.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's complaining if they get an Anivia.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love Anivia decks too. I also play Anivia. My in Runeterra, my favorite region is Freljord. I love Freljord. I love Shadow Isles. I actually think I don't know Brandon's favorite region, so I'm gonna let him talk about those.
I don't think I identify right now. I think because I think the only region I don't identify with would be Bandle City, because we hate Bandle City.
We hate Bandle City.
I mean, I guess you could say Demacia just because they have dragons in it, but even then, I'm not even really playing the dragon decks too much. I think the more interesting regions for me would be like Ionia, Targon, and like Piltover and Zon, or you can make some like pretty interesting decks. I think Piltover and Zon you can make probably the most interesting decks from, just because they have like cards that like don't make sense, that are just like kind of wacky. Like, why is this card even in the game? Even though it's really bad, you can make some funny decks with it.
Booher loves to play gimmick decks. Gimmick decks in like generically mid range good, but I think this kind of that thought process kind of transfers into the way we play other games too. Because in the games that we share, you kind of see the same pattern.
Yeah,
so in League of Legends, I'm a jungler. I'm a dirty tank main. I don't like you having fun. So I will CC you to death and you die, and I'm very happy.
I think we both don't like the enemy having fun. To be fair.
We just go about it the same way. Yeah.
Richard will be like, you can't ever kill me. I'm just gonna control you to death, and I'll just kill you.
I will strangle someone, and he'll beat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
It's like bullies in a high school movie when they have the guy like hold someone back.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Except I'm not like playing like assassins or ADCs or anything, so it's not like I just instantly kill you. It's like you're alive just long enough to think you can fight, but then you can't. I think there's no hope.
Yeah. I mean, you see this in a lot of our favorite characters too, in terms of like mastery and play rate. My top 3 is actually Sejuani, Udyr, and I think it's Warwick or Nautilus. And those are like really big, chunky characters who pick one guy in particular and say, fuck you. You do not play the game. Sit still and die. And then Brandon has his own characters and bruisers that he enjoys, and I'm sure he'll love to tell you about.
It's like we got Gangplank, who can he's supposed to be weak early and then scale up into late game and kill everyone. But they changed him, so he's actually good early, and he still scales up. So it's like kind of weird. He's not as good late game anymore, but they brought his early game up, so now he can just kind of, for some reason, floor you in the lane phase. And then he's like also like a kind of like a 1v5, like I'm gonna take the reins. He does need some help. Like in an actual game, he does need help to be successful, but he's kind of like fits that role of like he kind of wants to do things himself. And then there's Darius, who is definitely the guy who wants to just do everything himself. He's just big, Chad. I'm just gonna run down my laner. I'm gonna leave, and then I'm gonna go run down someone else's laner. And then third is actually Aatrox, even though we don't talk about him anymore. So I'm just gonna skip Steve, and we're just gonna go to Pantheon, because I think he's now I think Jin's above him, but since I identify more with Pantheon, we'll just say Pantheon.
Yeah.
Who's also big Spartan, kind of Chad. I'm just gonna walk up to you and like just go in on you, and we'll see if you can do anything about it. If you can't, that sucks. If you can, that sucks for me.
Brandon and I both love a very big stat stick champion.
Yeah, we can both definitely be Timmys.
Yeah, little Timmy.
If you don't know, a Timmy is, so we kind of already passed the card game phase, but it's a phrase that comes from card games. A Timmy is someone that likes just a big card. So there are cards that like might be like, oh, it's like a 3 mana 2/3 that does something really cool, and it's a good card. Timmy doesn't care about that card. Timmy wants the 6 mana 8/8 that does nothing. It literally does nothing. It's just an 8/8. That's what Timmy wants.
Hell yeah.
And at times we can both be Timmys. For sure.
I forgot the other card game terms. We're at our core, we try to be something else. And deep inside is Timmy.
Like I love my combo decks, but like I live for like the combo decks, like assemble Exodia and win the game from like something by not even beating your opponent. But there's a Timmy inside all of us. You know?
I forgot the other terms because you and I are also like both Spikes. And Spikes are just card game players who just want to fucking win. They're like dirty little sweats who play the most like boring, no fun bullshit and just dog you. It doesn't come out for us often, but when we're committed, we're like, no, not only do you not have fun, but we're sweating the fuck out.
For me, I'm not sure what your like conditional is. My conditional is like I have had to fight you like a couple of times and lost. Because then that'll make me mad, and then I'll bust out the tryhard and make sure you just don't... Like, it won't even be tryhard, it'll be like, you're just not going to have fun anymore. Like, if it comes to card games, I'm like, if I fight you in ladder, like, twice, and you beat my deck that I'm trying to meme with, then I'm just going to play, like, hyper aggro and just run you down. And if it's a fighting game, then I'll just switch to, like, a really broken character and make sure you don't have fun.
No, but I'm also a Spike, unconditional. Mine is, like, the environment. Like, if I'm in the right mood, or like if everyone has shaken hands with me and agreed, we're gonna kick their ass. I'm gonna go full spike. That or like if I'm egoing, like if I see the other guy is clearly worse than me, but like my team wants to win, I'm gonna try my best to curb stomp him. And then in card games, it's like a similar thing to where like I only really spike when I'm on a lose streak or I'm like feeling myself. It's like depending on my mood and like the environment that I'm in.
Yeah, but we definitely have that like try hard that can get activated.
Yeah.
I bet it's fun for no
Booher
one.
yeah, go. Yeah. We
Yeah,
have
those
we have really fun synergy, even though we think about the game different. Cause if we've both shaken hands to try, I hold someone back, he just kicks the shit out of them, and the game is fucking free.
I mean, you can just look at the last game we played together. That game was like pretty much a 2v5. Like literally, you were literally just holding them while I beat the heck out of them with the stick.
Yeah, I'm literally a fucking goon. I just run in there. We even had our scrims against my university's varsity team
Oh, yeah,
for
talk
League
about
of
the
Legends. Yeah, the scrims. The scrims. So in League of Legends, there's 5v5s, and it's a coordinated like team game, like soccer or basketball and things like that. And in League of Legends, you can make a team, and you have like your average elos, right? Elos is basically your rank or how good you are. Our team heading into it, we were about the same elo with 2 players that peaked higher than their or around the same peak. 2 of our players, cranked, was peaked. I think it was Platinum 2, and currently it's like sitting in Platinum 4. And Peshka, who comes from Bulgaria, which is in Europe, and in League of Legends, Europe is widely recognized as a stronger region in North America, and Pesh hit high diamond near Masters, right? Their players were one D2 player, one Diamond 2 player in America playing mid lane, and one former Master Tier player playing ADC, like autofilled. So heading into it, we're at a little bit of a rank disadvantage because their peaks are higher than our peaks, and our like average elo was kind of rough. And we were playing with 3 subs because we were trying to play for fun.
And we haven't played seriously in a long time.
Yeah, I think we haven't. So I haven't seen the rest of my team and the rest of the server for a year because of personal reasons we'll talk about in a different episode. But even before I left that, the last time we played seriously was Clash, I think, over 3 or 4 years ago at this point.
It was Clash. No, we did it sooner than that. I think didn't we do one like right before you left, like 3 or 4 months before you left.
Oh yeah, that's true. So like 2 years ago, at this point.
Yeah, pretty much like 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. And then their team had like multiple players who were like used to playing a competitive environment. And the main team last year broke into 2 sister teams, split up their power because the sister team was getting their shit stomped and they rage quit. I was supposed to be on that sister team, but I didn't get along with the people there. And if I'm gonna be honest, I didn't get along with the people there. And if I'm gonna be honest, my heart just like wasn't really in it. And so I just had to tell them the truth. I had to be like straight up. I don't see the game the same way as your guys. I wasn't at the best place mentally, and so I was like, listen, I don't think I can do this for you. I just got to go. And then they replaced me with a player who was lower elo than me at the time, but I thought was a decently promising like prospect. And then later on, when I came back to the server, talked to my friends again, my server, who were probably everyone watching this, but on the off chance you're not on there, shout out to the Goonies, now the Shit Shack. Dear fucking God.
I think that's a temp name. I don't think that's official.
Yeah. Well, I came back, we set up a scrims, and then we played with like 8 people shuffling in and out in like every position.
Yeah, that was a mess.
So yeah. We were like panicking. I was at like Buffalo Wild Wings with my big sister, like, oh fuck, I gotta reset the
It's
scrim,
like,
put it back.
you know what a good, was it an allegory?
Analogy.
Analogy, yeah. It would be...
Yeah.
Like, it'd be like trying to do a family dinner at like some type of restaurant, like Buffalo Wild Wings, while we had lockdown and you can only have like 3 people at a table. So you had to like coordinate, like, okay, these 3 sit here, these 3 sit here, and those 3 will have him. And then I don't know who brought like little Jimmy here. I think that's like Christian, someone's like boyfriend or something. Like, I don't know who brought him, but we gotta figure something out because now he's gonna be sitting alone. That's kind of weird. So like maybe we'll make this a table of 2 so someone can just go sit with him. That's pretty much what it was like.
We had to fucking draw. We had to like bust out like basically MS Paint and like draw it out. Like, what do we do here? Like, are we playing for fun? We have to make sure everyone gets playtime. It was fucking awful. And so like they're like an actual like coordinated team. They played with each other for like 5 days. They had like 12 games together. They were like handpicked by like their team captain.
They're used to like talking like as a team, coordinating
Yes.
things. Where we haven't done that since that last Clash. Because like every league game we've played without you.
Yeah.
It was just like when we're purely like memeing around, just messing around, just like shit talking each other. Just like sometimes we'll run it down. You know, so
I think
like, we
I have
haven't
to
played
be there to
coordinated.
activate your inner. I have to be there to activate Spike, because I don't
Yeah,
think
probably.
we have a lot of other Spikes.
Probably.
Yeah, because what I've noticed is on our server, we don't have a lot of like dirty sweats who like look at Brandon, shake his hand, and be like, it's time to sweat now, brother. Because Brandon won't start it like on his own. He's like, if it's just him, he's like, fuck it, whatever. I'm not. It's not worth the effort. If he has one other Spike, he's like, all right, it's time.
Well, when we went into that first game, because you didn't play the first game, right? You played the last
Yeah,
two.
yeah.
When
Yeah,
we went into the first game, I was like in full tryhard. Like if you could have seen, like if we had that eye tracker, I was actually looking at my map. I haven't looked at my map in like before that clash. So it's probably been 2.5 years stuff. Like actually actively, you know, like fakers like you have to look at your map every like 10 seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I was actually doing that. Like I was in like sweater mode. And I was like, dang, I haven't done this in a long time. This feels weird. Trying to try hard.
Speaking of Scrim, we almost fucking lost that game too.
That game was close.
They
that
had
game
like
was,
everything.
Yeah. Well, we tried to do like there was like one awkward thing, and I was like talking against it, but it was one of those things where it was like the flow was already moving in that direction, so it was too late. Where I don't know why we were trying to like win off like some cheese because they had an open nexus. So like we were trying to like start this weird Baron fight that we had no business starting because they were doing Baron. So we were trying to get in the pit as like 3 dudes because like I think one of us got picked, so one of us was dead, while Secret, I call him Secret, he's now Viper, was running it into their nexus. I was like, we can't win off cheese. This isn't gonna work. They're gonna get Baron, just recall and kill you. So they killed all of us, and then they got an ace. But luckily, I think we had like 2 of their inhibs down or something. So like they had minions in their base, so they had like no waves pushing towards us because they would have just ended the game. So we honestly caught like kind of a lucky break, but we were like, coordination, I would say we were like at like a 72% coordination.
Yeah. They also fucking threw too, because they walked into you as a 3-man unit on the Ocean Dragon fight and gave you the reset to survive. And
that
then
was actually true, yeah.
The Soraka frontlined ahead of her ult.
Oh yeah, no, they were like, oh yeah, that was that game. That was the game. I was playing Darius. That was so questionable. They had like their Soraka was frontlining when all she had to do was sit like 5 feet back behind their ADC, and they would have went because they went in hyper carry comp where they just had one carry. What's it called?
All the eggs in one basket.
Yeah,
like
they literally had all their eggs in one basket, all in on Jinx.
Yeah.
And then I was pretty much I got really ahead early, but transitioning into like the mid to late game, I couldn't really do anything but zone them off because I wasn't scary enough to where I could just dive in on their team like on my own. But I was also still scary enough to where they had to like be conscious of me. Like the Morgana was constantly looking for me to like throw snares at me. So like my role transitioned from being like a carry to just like trying to zone them into like just to mess with their positioning a little bit so that they'd maybe be a little more vulnerable to our comp. Which our comp was meh. It's alright.
Booher is basically a thug. He went from trying to beat the shit out of you to like staring at you menacingly.
Like, but you owe us money. I'm not gonna do anything about it right now. But I might.
Yeah, that like even though we won that game, that wasn't like a won game because that wasn't our choice.
If
like,
the
that
enemy
team
played
really
better than us,
well.
if they like just strictly played better than us, we couldn't have won that game.
They did for the most part too.
For that the first 2 phases of the game, I would say they did.
Yeah.
But we were somehow like still able to like kind of keep up, but not really, because there were like certain points in the game where they were just running with it. So it was like really back and forth a little bit. And then it's just like those couple of that last phase of the game, they just like messed up like one too many times, and we just were able to take it.
We also ran with our advantages really well, because like if you look, so you know how chess has like an eval bar, right? Like who's favored. Most of that game it was in their favor because we were supposed to get ahead early. We were playing the equivalent of an aggro deck, trying to run them down versus control, and we lost early. We gave them Ocean Soul, which is one of the scariest souls to fight as an aggro deck because it gives your opponents more health. And then they had Soraka mid lane and a Morgana to defend their carries. Soraka heals characters, Morgana like defends them with a black shield, which means that they can't be hit by spells or CC. And they had Jinx, who is one of the strongest hyper carries in the game, being defended by Shen, who has a lot of defensive abilities that can stop auto attackers, which was our entire comp. But after they were in the driver's seat, they couldn't quite execute it because they didn't have the same coordination we did, even though we were rusty. Everyone on our team like shook hands. We're like, we're going to death ball. We're all in agreement.
I mean, to be
fair,
their
team just met.
We've always been we've played with each other for years.
Yeah.
So even though we haven't been coordinated in a long time, like actually like try hard coordinating in a long time, we still know each other. Like we know how, like I know how Richard's gonna play.
Yeah.
Even if he comes back rusty a year later. And I know how Nika's gonna play. I know how Anthony's gonna play. Like I know how everyone on my team is going to play. So I feel like we do have that advantage on them. Like they might not be as inside each other's heads like we are. You know?
Yeah. Because they have 2 mega veterans who have been like playing in amateur leagues and like higher elo ladder, but they don't know their teammates as well, and they don't have that like same like understanding. And also our comms are a lot noisier than theirs because they just like they try and like min max their comms so they only say exactly what's necessary, but we don't shut the fuck up. Like our comms are constantly
talking.
There's always someone talking. It doesn't even have to be related to the fucking game.
Like, you have bot lane trying to coordinate with each other. Sometimes the jungler is saying where he's going. I mean, if it's you, you're always saying where you're going. But sometimes if it's someone else, they like to be like, sometimes they'll say where they're going. You have me over here talking to myself like, okay, I'm gonna go in here. I got 5 PCS. Oh, if he walks up to that, I can take him. So you have me just mumbling in the background some weird cryptid shit. It's like some like what you heard if you listen to our and we're still shit talking in the game too. We're shit talking each other and the enemy. Like, oh yeah, he's trolling. I don't know what he's doing.
Like, we should not be saying too much.
If we were an actual pro team, our comms would be the best.
Our comms would be the best. We were like very like G2 light, where we just like try to keep our comms like light and fun, and like make only on team fights. Only when it's like big fights, people shut the fuck up and they actually listen.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I'll say like. When we're trying to coordinate, we'll have less of like the toxicity and stuff, because like sometimes we'll be like, oh well, why would you go in there, and then we'll be like, well, shut up, we'll handle it after the game or something, right? Like well, I'll say we're definitely like toned down, like because we're like all trying to win, right? So we're more focused. Where if it's like a norms, it's like whatever.
Yeah. We also have like very clear comms, because like it depends on what phase of the game we're in and like who's strong. Like the strongest person in the game decides everything. Like, because they know their role the best. So, like, if you're fed, like, the team will just, like, cater around you. Like, when do you want to go in? What do you need? What can we give you? Yeah. If it's mid, we play around mid. If it's bot, we play around bot. Or if it's jungle, we just, like, try and help him and, like, strangle this guy out. We can win.
I feel like that's, like, kind of, like, a unique flexibility, right? Like, there's not a lot of teams that will, like, do that. I feel like there is a lot, but at the same time, like, I feel like we're different. Because usually you have, like... Definitely not this level, but like saying like usually you have like one coordinator, and like even though like our mid lane might be strong, your coordinator is still directing everything, right? So even if your mid laner knows that they can take like an initiative somewhere else, like they can like maybe take this fight or they can maybe get a pick here, if the coordinator's like, no, that's too dangerous, then that mid laner will have to back off. Which I feel like is like a good and a bad thing, because sometimes your mid laner might be feeling themselves too much and like take something that's way too risky. But in other cases, especially like around our level, it's very rewarding when you can play like this, because there's not a lot of like the enemy team won't punish you as hard or as much. Because there were like times where we could get picks in that Scrim game where I feel like at a higher level you would never get those picks, because there's like a certain point where you just start traveling as a unit, right? Like if you have like one dude get picked 3 times, then you're like, okay, we're just traveling as a unit now. Like we're always gonna have like 3 people together at any time. So you're never gonna like be making as many of those plays. But like at this level, I feel like it takes longer for any team, like, and I would say that includes us, to like react to stuff like that. Where if our ADC and support like get picked bot lane 5 times, now might be like, okay, we gotta be grouped up now. You know, where I feel like at a higher level, it's like it only has to happen once or twice, and then it's like, okay, that's never happening again. Not this game, at least.
Like even though our comms are loud, they're also not like toxic. Like people don't really like complain or like flame at each other or bitch about champions like in the game. Like that all happens after. And if we win, it's like, hey, let's go, we did it, baby. If we lose, like, champion diff. But it's like, even though we're loud, it's like very clean. And like when we make calls, it's like a conditional democracy where everyone who's involved in the play will talk. And if the vote goes go, we've all shaken hands. Our entire team knows the wrong play with everyone in it is better than the right play with less people in it.
I feel like
so even if we don't believe in it, we'll run it. Yeah.
I think we all understand that. It's just that like that 2-second democratic lag. Like, are we going or are we not?
Yeah.
You know?
Our democratic lag is like sometimes we go on instinct a lot of the time. Like the strongest players in the game will just like see the same thing and go. But whenever like we don't know, we just like this short democratic lag and then we fucking go all in. No one questions anything. If we die, we die. We're all in. And then you saw a lot of that in game 1 was a bit rocky. And then I feel like game 2 we got really, really comfortable because that was our clash roster. Right? Yeah, that's true. Game 1 is also a warm-up, and we were like kind of frazzled and nervous. We didn't really know like the draft format. Like our order wasn't the best, so we just like kept it simple. our team also loves to keep things like simple and just play a fucking death ball. Even though like Cranked and I, or Josh, we love to theory craft shit. Booher will like participate with us sometimes because he likes the idea, but he's not as sweaty. But
Yeah.
we love to talk about that shit, but we don't actually like do it when it matters because you gotta play to what people can actually do and execute on.
I feel like
So just shaking
drafts
hands and
for
death
us,
ball,
I feel like for us, we just mostly don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
Because for our strategy, for the most part, is praying that we're just better than them. I feel like a lot of the time.
Yes. Yeah. Basically.
So.
Yeah. I mean, we have some semblances of strategy that we won't leak here because I might show this to the Sam team, so we don't want to go all in. But
So you don't want to leak our full tank strat. You don't want to leak the 5 Vanguard.
Yeah. And during game 2, I think was really fun because game 2 was like the original class roster that we played with way back in season 6. So everyone
like
in
the
that
OG
game
team.
was really comfortable with each other, and we knew exactly like what to ask with each other and how to play. Because Brandon and I, like we said before, we like making sure people don't have fun. So when we shake hands in the middle, it's whichever one of us thinks that we can carry the game, him and I will split. Sometimes he'll kick me out and say, "I got this. Fuck off. I can do it." But in that game, I had the junk. I felt like I could win it, so I told Brandon, "Give me the chance to play. Buy me pressure. I will invade. I will carry this by myself." And he let me have it. He took the 1v2s. He absorbed the pressure, and I ran down their jungler with it. And most of that game was basically me strangling people in place while the rest of our team like scaled up. And then game 3, they played at the sub ADC, and at that point we were like feeling ourselves. Like morale is at an all-time high, and then that was a wash.
I feel like top lane and jungle share like a special like intimacy, just because it's kind of similar. I mean, the way I think about it, like obviously the jungler has to have some type of relationship with all their lanes to be able to coordinate. But I feel like jungle shares that special role with top lane just because bot lane has their support, obviously. So I feel like the jungler and the top laner need to be especially coordinated because I feel like the top laner dictates a lot of whether your jungler can take control of top side. Like, even if your mid is doing really good, your mid still has to cover bot side as well. Where the top laner has, like, exclusivity over that top side of the map. So if you wanted to invade, for instance, then I can buy you that pressure by, like, just pushing. Or if I know that you're going to be covering bot lane a lot, then I can back up a little bit. Or even vice versa, I could even, like, keep putting a lot of pressure top just to absorb the jungler. So that, like, the enemy top laner is, like, saying, hey, I need help up here, or I'm going to, like, fall apart pretty much. To where I can bring the enemy top jungler up top. Unless you think you can just handle them bot side, then I can be like, okay, I'm going to back up a little bit then and go more even.
I also Vanguard for you a lot of the games too, where like because of the way that you like to play and like how like naturally confident you are with your stat checkers, you a lot of the time if we've shaken hands on it, I will leave you alone and I will kick the other guy out with me. Like I'll just drag him away and leave you to fight the top laner for better or for worse.
Yeah.
And then I'll trust you to survive that coin flip. But if we're talking about the jungle relationships with laners, I think in that original class roster, Crank and I have a very good relationship because we see the game like almost identically. Because he was the one to teach me how to play in the first place. And when your jungle, mid, and top are all on the same page, it is ridiculously easy to coordinate on top side and transfer that lead like everywhere. Not that I'm not coordinated with the rest of our team and that we don't like trust each other, but there's a special bond there when you play for so long and you're all like on the same page, like shaking hands, and like you do what you're best at while enabling each other.
Hold on, someone's knocking on my door.
Yeah, you're good. You can just edit this in post.
What? I put your clothes in the dryer, mine in the washing. About 30 minutes and take yours out and put mine in the dryer. Okay. Don't forget. Okay. I don't want my clothes milled in you. Okay.
It's just about me taking my clothes out of the dryer when they're done.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, all of our like players play whatever they're comfortable with, but we've all like modified ourselves enough to like where we're comfortable with is like what works with each other. Like I'll play facilitators, Booher will play like bruisers, our bot lane will play like some kind of hyper carry, mid will play a mage, and usually enchanter support with like some flexibility there.
I think we definitely play around each other's like play styles too. Like instead of like forcing each other to adapt, we'll just take our strengths and just go with that, you know? Like we just talk about you and me, like I'm used to never trusting my jungler, which is why I like to be so independent in my lane. And then but like also because I trust you, I know like if you come top, then it can be like a good thing, you know? Because I'm used to like if my from where I've come from like just playing ranked and everything, if my jungler comes top, it's a bad thing always. Like whether it goes well or not, something's gonna happen in my lane to where it'll be bad. Whether it's my wave getting mixed up and then like my rhythm's off, or the jungler just comes top in a fight that I know we can't win, and he dies or something bad happens. Whereas with you, I know that won't happen as much, but you'll also compensate. You'll keep that in mind that that's kind of my playstyle, so you'll compensate for that. So rather than like forcing ganks top repeatedly, you'll just give me vision so I can keep track of the enemy jungler better, so I can play around that more. You know, so I feel like we all like play around each other's kind of play styles more. Like we know Crank's more reserved while he can like just shoot the gun and just go in. He also likes to play like back a little more, and like kind of play like more slowly instead of hyper. So I feel like we can all kind of like we all know each other's play styles and we can all kind of play off of that.
I think the playstyle things matters a lot too, especially when you look at the way that you and I have improved over the years, because from my end, I got a lot more aggressive and a lot like more in their face with my leads and with money. In terms of like accelerating through jungle and like being willing to dive and take risk, because I thought it was a rigged game if I had you behind me, no matter like what champion you're playing, because you and I would usually either outmuscle the enemy and fucking win, or like try to outmuscle, fail, outsmart them, and like win anyways. So there's like that innate trust that like if you call a play, I'm going with you. If I call a play, you're going with me.
Yeah.
And whenever it comes to top lane dynamics, because I can't know your lane more than you do, I just fucking ask, like, as I'm pathing. Because in our comms, I'm extremely vocal with exactly what I'm going to do, whatever I want.
Communicative, yeah.
Yeah, like, I will let Booher know, like, 2 minutes in advance. Like, hey, I'm going to be up there in a minute 30. Can you set up your wave for me, or do I leave? I'll, like, do that with all the laners and then find out what I can min-max. And Booher and I have shaken the hand. Once someone pulls the trigger, it's fucking over. And we're, like, hard committed. But I didn't used to have that. I had to learn that by like talking to him. I think I don't know how you've changed around me over the years. You've talked about playing a bit more reserved, but I'm curious to see if there's another element.
I feel like I communicate a lot more than I used to, because like even though I don't, because like a lot of my communication is just with myself, like making sure like keeping myself in check. But I feel like if you go back like even just 3 years. If I'm playing top lane, I'm just kind of in my own world. I'm like never talking to like anyone, even my junglers. All I'm doing is like letting you know if my laner's gone. And the only reason I'm doing that is because I don't want him to kill you.
Yeah.
Right? But now I'll actually like be there'll be like I won't do it super often, but I feel like if it's information that's necessary, I'll let the team know, or let someone, or like let you know as a jungler, be like, hey, I'm gonna be pushed up, or hey, I'm losing prio here, I'm gonna be falling back to the tower, or like the wave's out of control right now, I can't cover you, and stuff like that. Where I feel like there have been times before in the past where if the wave is pushing toward me and I don't have prio over my laner, I wouldn't let you know that. It was just kind of like I expected you to know that. For whatever reason, I don't know why I would just expect that, but
yeah,
it would be like I would expect you to know that, and then I would let you know, but it would be too late. But like, oh, he's gonna get there before me, by the way. Or like, I can't go, I have to get this wave, kind of thing.
I remember during one of our other clashes, you were fighting Mordekaiser, and I said, I need this Rift Herald to come back into the game. And then you're like, yeah, I got you. Oh, by the way, I left. You fucking what?
I TP'd bot lane. That was awesome. I saw it, so you were telling him. I was communicating with you while I was looking at a play bot lane. So I was fighting the enemy Mordekaiser, and you're like, I need this Rift Herald. And I was like, I got you. I just beat the shit out of this guy. I'm gonna come watch you on Rift Herald, right? I'm gonna cover you.
Yeah.
And then I saw a play bot lane. I was like, I'm TPing bot. And then you were like, what? I'm on the Rift Herald.
He comes over and he fucking kills me and takes the Herald. And we fucking lose.
That was a Clash game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a Clash.
That was an awesome game. That was one for the memories. I was like, yeah, I probably shouldn't let that happen again. That was bad.
On the other end, though, we did have a very fucking nasty 2v5 on Sejuani Darius.
Oh,
I was more confident in you than you were in me. I was like, we win this. And you're like, I don't trust you. I was like, we win this. I'm going to die unless you're with me. And you're like, fuck it.
That's alright.
we just ran in.
Said we won.
The enemy did they had a controversial walk at us one at a time strategy.
That game was actually like a 2v5.
Yeah, that was
didn't we end the game just us two as well? Like,
yeah,
our team was like somewhere else, and we just ended the game.
Yeah. They were fighting 3 mid, and we ran top lane. I tanked it with Warmogs through the minions and proc demolish while you were like running under their tower.
That was probably one of the most fun Clash games I've played. We've had a lot of fun Clash games too.
Yeah. I think all the Clash games where you and I are both on the same page and we can be comfortable. Those are the best ones, because I think everyone on our team is good, and everyone like matters like in their role. I think you and I both agree, like, because we're very greedy when it comes like how much gold and resource that we
True.
want. But we've learned over time to drop stuff, and you and I see the same vision of the game where it's like that group think where it's like if the whole team gets stronger, we get stronger. So like,
Like,
we'll
I
break
have,
each other out of prison.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I have a
Yeah.
lot more trust in our... Like, there are things I will do as our 5 that I would never do in, like, solo queue. Like, I'm okay with not losing, but, like, being under even. Like, being below my enemy, I'm okay with now. Because if I'm ever playing solo, I never want to be behind, because I don't know what my team's going to do, and I don't know if they'll be able to win the game. So if I ever fall behind, I will take risks that can just straight up lose me the lane, but they can also just straight up win me the lane. Like, I'll take 2v1s that I have no business taking, which a lot of the time it works out if I plan it out correctly and I play it not perfectly, but essentially perfectly. But if we're ever as a coordinated 5, I will usually not make as many of those plays. Like, it'll happen every now and then, but it'll only happen if I'm, like, very confident in the play. Where now I'm okay with just farming at my tower. If I, like, recognize that, hey, this guy is stronger than me. Like that Jax game, for instance. There were a lot of opportunities I could have went in on Warwick, but Warwick is also a very flippy champion just by the way he plays in top lane. And he took barrier to boot. So I knew if I just straight up fight this guy, I will probably... I think I can win just because my Counter-Strike is really good, but I also can lose. And, like, I took Ignite just to help me secure the lane, but I was like, you know, I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to farm up. I'm going to try to stay even in farm and see what happens. And then you came top. I got an easy double kill. And then, like, that was just over from there. We just ran it.
You
So
and I
feel
also love First Herald a lot. We love First Herald.
Herald's
Because
great.
usually I can guard you topside. And then because I can guard you topside, we can break someone out of prison. Usually it's you. Sometimes it's someone else. Where you and I both think that having the raw ability to roam matters more than the individual min-max of, like, Dragon. So we'll trade first Dragon for Herald and we'll fucking run at it.
I feel like it's even more valuable top lane now that TP is not as competitive. While TP was competitive, I feel like it wasn't as necessary because I could always just roam and TP back top, or like I just TP to a play bot lane really quick. But now that, because I hate taking TP now, like you probably noticed, I don't like, I pretty much never take it anymore. I'll just take Ignite or Ghost. Which I was even talking to Pesh about this because Pesh was asking for the game we were playing when I was playing Gangplank. He was like, shouldn't you have taken TP here? And I was like, yeah, TP is more correct, just because we're a coordinated 5, but also. I didn't want to take it.
I mean, Ignite's not bad there either. Like, you can justify that.
I like the Ignite just because it opens more opportunities topside than I feel like TP does. Because I can always... Because my wave control... like, I might not be a great player or anything, but I feel like my wave control is pretty decent. And I knew just based off of the opponent I was fighting, because that was our last game we were playing. So I knew based off of the opponent that we were fighting that I had better wave control than him. So that I knew... From that point, I knew that I could always have the lane pretty much wherever I wanted it. So, like, if I ever need to take it back, I know where I can put the wave at to where I can come back to a nicely formed up wave to where I wouldn't follow behind an XP or anything.
Another thing about both of us is, I'm just gonna go out right out and say it. We do not belong in the elos we're at. We're like fake smurfing because either we don't have enough game times in, or in my case, my mental's like too trash, or like a lot of our developments happen like off the game, or we just like drop it for like real life stuff because both of us are busy. We brushed over it a little bit, but we're both in uni. We're both like damn near top level performers in like whatever we do. Booher is on a lot of art scholarships. I'm in my honors scholarship with a lot of like career prospects and like studying to do. So there'll be times where we'll just fucking drop the fucking game. But if we actually played consistently, our LO is probably like a division higher than us, if not like peaking near diamond. If we actually played the game and put the time to get like better along that way. The issue is like we don't really care that much to do it. I mean, we'll do it if everyone else is doing it to like participate in like the little ego game and like to talk shit, but it's not like a genuine priority.
I feel like the plat 2 to gold decay is a pretty good example. But like before, like even before you left, we weren't even playing League that much. And then after you left, for me, I like pretty much just stopped playing League. Like I played it for like a couple more months, and then I completely dropped the game until like 3 months ago is when, or like 3 or 4, like maybe 4 months ago is when I started playing again. So there was like a huge like, I think like 7 month, 8 month period where I was only playing like a game every 3 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, you were just like showing up to be polite at that point, like for like 5 minutes to like hang out with people. You like weren't actually playing the game.
Yeah.
I was doing that with like some people, like only playing to be polite. I did come to the tryouts, like I said before. We just had a personality clash, and my heart wasn't in it. I was also like busy with other stuff. But coming back to the server, I definitely I felt really comfortable. I think the year that I took off, it kind of, I don't know if it facilitated, encourages it, or it just happened at the same time. But our server and everyone on our team definitely took some time to like get closer to each other and like be more okay with like talking about feelings, like work on themselves. And I think that's the biggest advantage that we had, is that everyone's on the same page like mentally, and like everyone's like taking care of their mental, so we don't tilt as hard in games.
Well, I feel like because we're also more like a family.
Yeah.
More than like just teammates, you know. Where I feel like anyone that we kind of fight in like Clash, or maybe Clash is a little different because usually you play with your friends, but like if you ever like are scrimming against someone in like any kind of like environment like that where they're just taking players and like putting them on their team, I feel like we will already have that natural advantage over them just because we're so coordinated with each other. We've played with each other for so long. You know, like who's it, Faker and like Peanut, right? Like they've played so many games with each other, and I feel like they can kind of always go back and forth off of each other in their like professional games, even though like the team around them is changing. I feel like it's,
you're talking about Bengi in that one.
No, Bengi,
not
Peanut.
Peanut.
Yeah, not Peanut.
Yeah.
I
mean, if you want to talk about Faker Bengi, I think the best description for like the duo that we stole a lot of our playstyle and the approach to the game from is Huni Rainover.
Oh yeah, Huni Rainover for sure.
Yeah, because Rainover's like the big brain, no hands jungler, and Huni's the fucking mechanical dog running at them in a straight line.
Old Huni,
yeah,
pretty much.
We stole a lot of our playstyles and our ideas from Huni Rainover straight up. We're like, all right, just fucking
like
run.
For Clash, I want to talk about like what you were surprised about, but I want to start off with just saying like I was really surprised by like Secret's performance.
Oh yeah,
I feel like that was the biggest surprise to me, because like I was I know when we were talking before about like who do we put in and stuff, iShocks was super repping Secret over Pesh, and I was like on board with him because Secret lately has been performing very well. But I was also thinking like Pesh is just kind of nuts, right? Like he's very good at the game. Like I feel like for the most part he can play any role better than most of us, right?
Yeah.
Like I
feel like like P2 flex.
I feel like if he gave like top lane like just a week's worth of like practice, he could compete with me top lane no problem, right?
I think I've been playing. I think he's already top 2 every role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just like, well, Pesh is kind of nuts, so I would say he's probably better ADC. But the Secret like brought his A game. Like even like the games he was disadvantaged, he was doing really well in. Like that second game where he just like got completely banned out, he did very well. And like obviously I'm up top lane, so I'm not watching everything, but I just thought like bot side was just gonna be weak, and then they were just kind of popping off.
Yeah, they were just fucking winning. I was like trying to path around them. They were already like doing well, and his opponent's like a former master tier player, like playing ADC at like platinum level, and especially Secret in the past, like he had really frail mental. And like was very vulnerable to like being tilted or being negative. But after like losing his lane that game, he still tried his fucking best to like find his outs, play towards his damage spikes, and like come back. And even after getting targeted in game 2 in a counter matchup, he still left room for me to come down there. Like even though he was winning on his own, he knew that it wasn't enough, so he gave me what I needed to come down there and take over. Like I was very surprised by how willing he was to like facilitate me or like let Nika like, run away.
Out of everyone on the server, I feel like he's improved the most for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure by like leaps and bounds. It's Secret. Like
it was kind of crazy. I was like kind of amazed. I was like, wow, we don't actually have a weak bot side.
Monster. yeah. Because I think now that he's gotten better, we could talk about it. That like a lot of our Clash games, our top side is like every combination we could ever put top side is a dominant force. Because every combination of jungle top mid will always agree on the game. Our issue was always bot side because Secret had a hard time like communicating and like managing negativity. But after
it was also
Secret,
sometimes we would have to sacrifice mid too though. If we wanted to put Cranked on bot side. Like if we decided that we needed bot side, we would just put Secret mid. So he was, I don't want to say he was always the weak link, but it was always like he was weak side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where sometimes I feel like it just wasn't consistent. Where like there would be some games where we were like, he can pop off, or he might also just be weak.
Yeah.
Right. So it wasn't like dependable. Where now I can feel.
He just stabilized himself.
I feel like we can feel safe knowing that he can actually like stable out and not just like run it down. Where I feel like we didn't have that safety or that like comfort before.
Yeah. Now that Secret's improved, or like, we got really lucky that they fought us this year instead of like 2 years ago. Because I think Secret 2 years ago no shot with 3-0. No shot.
I don't want to say it, but
yeah.
The move he always hates when we bring it up, the Nautilus tower dive.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we can talk about this. We can talk about this now. He
was playing Zed, right?
Yeah. So it was an in-house in season 6 when we were first getting to meet each other, right? We were playing a 5v5, and we were like betting. I think it was like a Discord name across like 2 of the teams. I'm autofill Nautilus support because I'm not the highest ranking jungler on our server at peak. And that one goes to lShocks, who was the jungler in game 1, who gave me jungle for game 2, and then let me go on game 3 because he was nice. I personally think that my performances in the game are like better for team play and more consistent, but Shocks has a higher like ranked peaks, and so he's very confident in that, and I have to give him that respect. But because we were in that environment back then, I just gave him my role. I went bot lane, so I'm playing like Nautilus, like support. And I'm covering a wave mid as my team's like going for a Herald play, I think it was. And Secret's on Zed, and he's feeling himself because he just got like 2 solo kills on the mid. He just completed his item, and I am a Nautilus. So I sit there, I like emote at him because I'm a Nautilus. He's not gonna dive me. He W flash ults forward, gets autoed, Q'd, ulted under his tower, gives me the shutdown, loses his team the top play, and we take 2 towers off of Herald, and we have not let him live it down.
Yeah, ever since then, it was like, always, we don't know what you're going to do, man. Might tower dive another Nautilus. And it's gotten to the point where he just kind of accepted it, and he'll even reference it sometimes.
Yeah.
Or he'll be like, we talk like Ant will tower dive someone, and he'll be like, bro, why don't you learn from me? I warned you. I learned my mistake. I never got to live it down.
Oh, hell yeah.
Funny stuff,
For sure. I think you and I have definitely improved off of each other. Spread the praise a little bit. I think Crank's really improved a lot when it comes to how adaptable he is. But Crank's always been like a fucking monster, like just like a sleeping giant. His only issue is that he doesn't like putting in the grind time. But I think you and I can both agree. Yeah, Crank's champ pool is fucking massive. It's one of, if not the largest champ pools available on the server across 5 roles. Like,
oh yeah,
he is the strongest build player one of, if not the strongest build player we have.
You could easily say he has 5 champions for every role.
Yes,
easily.
5 champions every role. Crank makes a strong argument for top 3 in every role that he'll play. Top 3, top 2. Crank's a monster with diversity for sure, and because Crank likes to nerd out about the game, like he will flex his playstyle a lot easier than me and Brandon and I can, because Brandon and I are also pretty stubborn. Even though we're willing to flex, we'll flex it to what we like, not like what's like necessarily good for the team. It's what we like to play and feel comfortable on first, then the team.
Yeah.
But Crank will put the team ahead, and he'll do whatever he needs to do at a pretty high level. So even though he's not like maxed out in any like one domain like Brandon and I are, the raw value of having a player who can go from control mage to assassin to battle mage to tank to vanguard to engage, disengage,
and you just flip it between games too.
Yeah, like
it doesn't take any tank to an enchanter just like that. Boom.
Yeah, you play tank to enchanter. He can play across 5 roles. Crank's always been super flexible, and even in his roles, Crank has like leveled up a lot because according to him, a lot of that knowledge like transfers and carries over. Where Booher and I can kind of feel there's like a significant skill drop off between our main roles and all the other ones.
There are like some roles that like I feel like I'm lacking. Like jungle, I feel like is probably my biggest lacking fill role. Just because I don't understand the jungle routes as like well as like even Crank, who can just like who still has understanding of it. I just haven't had an understanding of it since like season 3. Ever since they did the big change.
I tried getting you on jungle a bit.
I mean, I understand like the basics. I understand like the basics, but it's like if I fight like an actual jungler who can like route properly, I feel like they just push my shit in.
Your jungler's like gold 4, and like your top lane's like P2 diamond peak, so it's like there's a very big drop off. And I think for me it's jungle and like literally every other role in the video game.
I don't know about that.
It's like jungle,
you got mid Annie.
Yeah, only Annie when my opponent is gangplank and gives me shutdown. Yeah, I think support's closest, but there's still a skill drop off.
And I feel like you can play top just because there's a lot of jungle champs that can translate top.
Yeah, I think I think the way it goes for me is it's like I'm P2 like edging on diamond like in terms of gameplay. Top is like because I spent a season playing top and I got to like gold 1 on Darius and playing like bruisers and tanks. So I'll give that to myself. Support's like gold 2 gold 1ish. Mid is like fucking gold 4. All right, I am barely above silver. I am only winning because people are dumb as shit, and I can just hang back behind my tower like a little bitch. But it's not my win. They're just kind of inting. And the ADC, I don't have the hands. I don't know how to CS, man. It's different. At least with top lane, I can like huff my paint and fucking take all the minions, but. Well, on ADC, I have to like actually manage that shit in position, and because I play tanks, I'm not that used to playing squishy, so it's fucking weird. But Crank's always been like a fucking monster on all 5.
I think I can pretty much play everything except jungle. Because my support is like an asterisk, just because it purely depends on who I'm playing with. Like I feel like if I'm playing with anyone on the server that would ADC, I'm fine. Just because I have that coordination there. But if I was like to pull it into solo queue, I don't think my support would do that well. But it's like dependent on my carry. Where I feel like if you took like someone who like Cranked, who knows how to carry from support just from being the support, could do it just fine in solo queue. Whereas me, I wouldn't even know where to start. But like if we're playing as a coordinated 5, I feel like my support is up there. Just because like there's a lot of champions that I have experience on that I can take into support, and even if they're not champions I have experience on, like a lot of experience on, there's champions that fit into like the same type of role. Like I can play Nautilus, I can play Leona, I can play Alistar, you know, but I could also like cheat and just take Pantheon or set down there if I really wanted to cheat. So
and speaking of support, we do have to give it up to Nika. Nika played really, really well in all of those games, and Nika is actually our youngest most recent member that played during the Clash games, and one of the youngest members we have, period. Because you and I have known each other since season 6, which is a little bit over 6 years, I think. Craig and I have known each other for 7. Secret's known all of us for like 5 or 6-ish years, right? Nika came in like 2 years ago, and she just instantly clicked at the server. She had a lot of she had a lot of like positivity, a lot of like very high energy, and like she was very willing to facilitate other people, but like keep things light and stop us from getting too tilted. Like every game with Nika, we're having fun. We're constantly keeping things light. The atmosphere is always good, and she's doing her fucking job. Like she's warding out well. She's like calling things out. She's like stopping us from like tilting too hard. Like literally supporting the players and the champions.
Oh yeah, mentally too. Yeah.
Yeah. And she'll like stretch test like the limits on all of her fucking enchanters, like frontline and bully, right at the edge. Because I think it's part of her playstyle, but she does it with us a lot more because she trusts us to have her. Like she'll just walk forward when she has no business because she's like, oh, they got me.
I feel like also with Nika, like we were talking about, I mentioned earlier how we don't really force our players into doing stuff they're not comfortable with. Like we kind of like just adapt. I would say like Nika and Secret are probably the exception. Like we didn't bring it up with Secret because I feel like he's like more of like a flexible player in the first place. Like he's kind of played all the roles. But with like Nika, she's always played like the same like 3 champs, you know? Like I don't think if you go back 2 years ago, you ever see Nika playing like Leona or Nautilus, right? Because it's always like pretty much Lux or Lulu. But now she's like, just because of like us playing Clash and like trying to play more coordinated, she's like actually taken that initiative of playing different champions that she's never been comfortable with. Like I think what Nautilus was like a big one, right?
Yeah,
like she
could play Nautilus for like 2 years. Yeah,
but now she's like able to just pull Nautilus into a Scrim game, like it's like drop of the hat.
Yeah,
which I feel like
pull Nautilus, she could pull Leo. Yeah, it's nuts.
What's like respect to like just seeing like what we need and like just being able to like, oh yeah, sure, I can do that. No pushback, no that. Yeah, I'll do that. You know.
Yeah, because I think being flexible is a skill, like we talked about with Cranked and with Nika, and I think you and I are very good at what we do. It's kind of because we're not flexible. We can flex very limitedly.
Yeah.
But because we're not very like flexible, like when we are online, we're insane. But there are some variations where, because I love mages. Philosophically, I love mages. I love mage items. I love mage junglers. I love the ability to create space and like strangle someone. So Nika learning how to play tanks freed me up to play a lot of mages, and my mages enable you to play a lot more aggressively top lane, a lot more of your hypers, your ADs. And like you can play tanks and I can play carries, but that additional flexibility that's opened up by having like, I think it's is it literally everyone else compromising besides us?
It was I mean, yeah, pretty much. I mean, it was like,
Yeah.
think of like with Nika, when Nika came in and like started playing like engage champs, it was like it made a huge difference with like our team composition. Because for engage, we literally only had you and Cranked pretty much.
Yeah.
So we always had to have SHOCKS jungle and you support, just because you were the only one that could really play engage champs. And SHOCKS could, I mean, we had to have Cranked mid just for a strong mid laner. Or even ADC sometimes, because like he always had to flip between mid or ADC, whoever we thought we needed more to be stronger. But then like SHOCKS, even he can play engage champs too, but he's also more like he wants to play those carry champs, you know, like he wants to be playing Evelyn, or he wants to be running around with like Nunu, which Nunu is engaged, but he's like soft engage, you know, he's not like Zac Eing in, or like Alistar or like Leona. So he can play like those more engagey champs, but he also likes to play like more. I feel like he leans on like the more like assassin bruiser kind of side. Because like even the mages he does play in terms of like jungle aren't like dot mages like his Malzahar mid. It's like things like Evelyn and I mean, I can't think of anyone else. Evelyn's the only one coming to mind.
Elise, yeah.
You know.
I think SHOCKS and I are both tank players, and we both like to be like we both started on low economy, but I spec into getting better at low economy and like being a better vanguard. SHOCKS spec into becoming a diver. So even though he had engage, they on paper they were used way differently. But having like Nika flex into that, and also because our supports were not as coordinated with the rest of our team, because as a 5-man unit, we weren't used to playing with a lot of like supports, and we didn't have a dedicated support player.
I mean, at the
so
beginning,
our support was basically always autofilled.
Yeah. I mean, like at the beginning, we only really had like 4 of us. It was like just you, me, SHOCKS, and Cranked a lot of the time. And a lot of the time we had to flex like a 5th, because like either whoever we could fill into that spot was usually like busy. Like sometimes Ant would be busy. I mean, Ant was part of the original Clash. So I guess that would be the original 5, right? It was Ant.
Yeah, the very, very original, yeah.
But then a lot of the time, like if someone was busy, we'd just have to like flex someone out. Like sometimes SHOCKS couldn't come, or like Cranked, or like whatever happened, right? So we'd always have to like kind of put someone else in that 5th role. So even then, we weren't as coordinated. But I feel like now that we've also like grown and like have additional members of the team, we also have like even more flexibility with like just who we have in the game. Like figuring out who we wanted for even those scrims was like a big mess, just because we had 8 people to work with. We were like, okay, how do we want to do this?
Yeah,
you know,
I joked about it with their mid, but I was like, you're fighting a 3v1 mid because you have to fight 3 different guys. You lose, GG. But like, it's actually really crazy because we have such a big overflow of players who have shaken hands on the game. Our team looks radically different depending on how you play the comp. Like where the players move, we all play differently, even though it's like the same fucking people. Like team 1 was really aggressive, like basically mono red from Magic, very like Murlocs, very like in your face, very run you down. And
if
then
we
whatever
like play like a super cannonball, like because like I feel like if you want like a really stable kind of game, we'd put you jungle, right? And if we want a game that's like stable with the potential of like hyper rolling, we can put SHOCKS in, right? Because he can play like has like more of a hyper play style. And if we wanted like we're just gonna run at them, we're gonna cannonball the heck out of this, you put Ant jungle. Because then he's gonna play like something like Warwick, and then just like try to like just run everyone down. And he has a lot of games on Warwick, so he's very comfortable with that champion. And that champion's also very kind of flippy. So like if we're like, okay, we're super disadvantaged here, but we want to just like flip it, like whatever, just screw it, balls to the walls. You can put Ant in the jungle, like something crazy like that, you know?
Yeah. Speaking of Ant, actually, Ant, I want to talk about Ant, because I think Ant did us a real solid by showing up to Clash early, even though he wasn't very experienced in the game. But you and I are a bit more qualified to speak on Ant because we're really close with him personally, and also because we kicked him out of his main roles.
Yeah, true. I joined the server and I was like, I'm the top laner, sorry.
Yeah, basically. I think you asserted your dominance during the early in-houses.
It was like even though when we were 1v1ing.
Yeah, every time you were left top, both junglers agreed we're kicking his ass because Ant does not survive. Because I was like young Anthony too, so we had to run at you, and after enough moments, like you earned your street cred. I think game 2, you got a penta on GP. I'm like, no, this guy's a menace to society. We have to kick his ass, keep him down, and fucking take him.
We gotta kick him out of the game.
Yeah, Ant was tried going into jungle.
I remember that first game was probably the first game that me and Ant ever played with each other, because that was like my first ever doing like an in-house or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I think it was because Music Hat invited me.
Yes.
And that was like my first ever in-house, and she was like, hey, we need another player, do you want to join? I was like, sure, I don't got friends, whatever. I'm not doing
Yeah,
anything.
Yeah.
So I was really nervous, and I was like, I just wanted to feel things out, and I had no idea how like good Anthony was. So like for that first like I feel like maybe 8-10 minutes of the game, I was just like sitting there and we were like kind of watching each other. And then like after I got like a good enough read, I was like, I think I can beat him. Let's find out. So then I just started running at it. Was probably like for Anthony, it was probably such like the biggest switch ever because I was playing like passively. Like if he was running up to me,
Yes.
I would like back up a little bit. Which as like a top laner, like I don't believe like you should ever really back up that much unless you're very confident that you will not beat the enemy you're up against. Because top lane is like a very big mental game and a lot about confidence and bravado. Because if you walk into that lane, even if you're getting countered, if you walk into the lane like you know what you're doing, like you're about to beat the other guy will naturally back off, and that will just buy you a huge advantage that you might not even deserve. Like if I'm playing, like for instance, if I'm playing like let's say Darius into Teemo can like bully me. He can like keep poking me and like just keep running me down. So how I play the matchup is I walk in the lane, like I can just flash on him and like kill him. So I'll walk in the lane, I'll start queuing the wave, I'll start pushing him as hard as I can. Because now he's not going to want to poke me as much because he's like, well, this guy might actually hurt me. And then from that, I get a bigger wave, I get a level on him. So now he's level 1, I'm level 2. He definitely can't go in on me now because I have a whole level on him. And then my wave stacks up. So now he can't even poke me because my wave will do more damage to him than he'll do to me. And it kind of snowballs from there to where I keep getting advantage after advantage. Then I get first back, I come back with a component, he has nothing, and so on and so forth. So for Ant, it was probably a really big switch because I was like playing like pretty neutral. And then all of a sudden I just started running at him like a dog.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a lot
okay, I'll
about
take
fighting
him.
game mentality too, where like you're positioning, edging for screen space. You're like, I'm the guy, even when you're not.
Yeah, pretty much. So for him, I want to kind of hear what it was like for Anthony, because like for me, it was like I was playing neutral and I just started running at him.
Yeah.
I want to know like kind of what from his view, what that was like.
We have to get him on the podcast sometime. And then it was really rough because Ant also got kicked out of jungle because I was already here and I taught him how to play the game. And then it's me, Cranked, and Shocks, who at the time were all active jungle players, like 2 ranks higher than him. And so he's never getting that role. He's never getting it. And so he got kicked out of jungle. He went support, and then Nika came, and she kicked him back out. And then he went.
The sad life of Anthony, man.
Yeah, bro, Ant had a sad fucking life. But
Just
he's
actually kicked out of every role he
good.
tried to main.
Yeah.
Actually, it's
I mean,
it's kind of impressive just to think about, because you think like you and I, like I've always been playing top. Like even though I could go like mid lane because I have a lot of champs I like to play mid. Top lane's what I identify, right?
Yeah.
Like I just play top.
Yeah.
And then you're like all jungle. Ant's had to transition so many times throughout just his league career of I'm a top lane player to I'm a jungle, now I'm bot lane, now I'm ADC. Wait,
he did
we
one
have weird
role per
ADC
season,
players. Now I gotta go mid. So it's like just thinking of like how he had to like flip from so many different roles. He did it. He was never given enough time in a role to play it consistently to get really good at it. I feel like the exception is like probably jungle, just because he's played. That's what he goes to. That's his go-to in like ranked.
Yeah.
But I feel like
it's really
just
fucked
like...
up that he doesn't get 5-man practice trying because he constantly gets kicked out of his favorite role.
It's like so
But
unfortunate.
It's
also really cool,
actually
though.
pretty deep
He's
now.
probably like one of our best sub. Like that makes him like probably the best sub that we can ask for.
Yes. Yeah. Literally yes.
Like if
there's
I'm never there,
drop off, but he's still good.
Yeah, it's like if I'm never there, oh, just get Ant, put him there.
Yeah.
Like I feel like we have a lot of junglers, so maybe not jungle. Just because we have so many people that can play jungle, but then like there are times where he might just go jungle, and like he can also fill support. He can fill support really well too, and like he can even go. He can probably like go pretty even mid. I feel like if he's playing seriously, he won't really run it down. You know?
Yeah.
Like if he's
you
mid,
have to get him to buy in.
Well, I feel like because like he already knows. Like let's say he's like mid lane. I feel like he already knows that he'll probably be weaker than the enemy mid laner who like mains that role. And he'll like just play safe, because I feel like Ant taking the game seriously won't end. If he thinks if he thinks the enemy is stronger than him. If he thinks he's stronger than the enemy, then he might, because he might take a fight that he doesn't deserve taking. Like I feel like there's some games like maybe if he's playing Warwick jungle or something, he probably he might think like, oh, I can beat the heck out of this guy, and then the guy just like kicks the shit out of him, and he's like, what the hell?
Warwick makes you play bad on purpose. It's weird because you have to do the passive. But
like it's
I
a
think
lot of risk taking.
Ant's very, very good at winning when he already has the lead. Like, no matter what role you put him in, that's the one skill he gets. I think that's because I think it's partially because I think it's like 70% just in his nature and how he likes to see the game, because he comes from a lot of like FPS where it's a lot of like individual play and a lot of like in your face mechanics. But I also think because you and Anthony are really close and you guys shared the same role, especially early when he was learning the game, like he looked to you to like, this is what top lane is, so this is how I'm gonna play. And so that kind of mentality transfers across all of his roles.
Me and Ant have like a lot of similarities. Like we share similar like champ pool, we share similar roles, we share like similar play styles. Like we see the game like very similarly for me and Ant.
Yeah. I think all of us do, but there's an especially strong connection between you two for sure. So when Ant gets a lead, he's really good. The problem is Ant doesn't play from behind well, and then if he's having a bad day, he has the mental of like 3 tissues. But
well, I think like, hold on, keep going.
If he's on that day and he's like in a winning spot, or like you give him resource, he can probably do the same thing that you do. Or he'll like get online and he'll like smash a team open.
I totally agree. I think Ant can do everything I can do if he's given the resources.
Yes. I think the biggest gap is that you don't need resources to do it. But if given resources, I think you're swappable.
I feel like also because me and Ant share such a like similar play style and like such a similar view of the game, and like it's also brought us closer like in our personal lives. Because we see like a lot of things the same. I feel like that's one advantage that me and Ant would have, like if we were forced to go up against a different bot lane. Like memes aside, like because obviously me and Ant are like the meme bot lane, like what was like pulling off the meme shit. But like if me and Ant were like playing seriously bot lane, I feel like me and Ant could actually be very competitive, just because we have that connection. We already like know what we're capable of. So like if you ever hear me and Ant's like comms, we're always like messing around, we're joking around. But it's like weird to see because like we're joking around, but we're always beating the enemy bot lane. Yeah,
your comms are fake. Like you don't say what you want to do. You just kind of do things.
But it's also because we trust. Like we also have like so much trust. It's like, and we see the game so similarly. I can just be like, go in, and he'll just do it like on a whim. Like when I see the good, he's already in because we're both seeing the same thing. So he just needs that confirmation from me, and vice versa. So like he just needs if he gives me that confirmation, I'm going in. Because, like, if you look at the way me and Ant play support, I would feel like... I mean, I haven't watched him play it super too much, but I feel like we play it kind of similarly. Where we're very good, like, kind of flicks. Like, we like to flick. Like, okay, we're in. Like, we look like we're backing up, we're in. All of a sudden. Which is why I feel like we can pull off a lot of those meme bot lanes, like Ivern Darius. And we say that it's really good, which it... In my opinion, I actually think it's...
Don't leak it.
Oh, shoot. I meant Garen
Ban
Flora.
it, we dare you. Ban it, pussies.
If they ban Darius Ivern, I don't know what to say.
They ban Darius, respect Ivern.
It's a joke. But, like, we have, like, meme bot lanes that, like, probably shouldn't work if, like, the enemy's taking it seriously, but somehow it does. So I feel like maybe we wouldn't beat like an actual bot lane that's like really good and coordinated.
I think if you put the time in, you could. I think in base forming, you beat bot lanes of like even Elo just because of synergy and like gimmick strats. I think of higher skill, you fall off. But I think if you were both dedicated, then you could become higher skill.
And like I have enough experience because usually when we do it, I'm like on some type of carry champ and he's usually on a support. So I feel like even if we took it like without the gimmick, like I could just play like my strong ADCs, so like Jhin, Draven, Jinx, right? So like if I'm on Jhin. Or if I'm on Kai'Sa.
Yeah, Kai'Sa, Urgot.
And he's on
Zed.
Fiora.
No, I'm kidding. There's no way they're sweaty enough to watch 2 hours into this point.
I feel like in any scrim, me and Ant are probably not bot lane together.
Probably. Yeah.
I feel like in any scrim, I feel like if I'm in any scrim, I'm probably going top. To be honest.
The fucking terror scrim is when we put you jungle, I go AD, Ant goes fucking mid, Cranked is top, Shocks is playing, or Secret's playing support. Perfect.
That's like we're holding their elo. we're challenging. This is a challenge.
That's the battle scrim. If you ever see us do that shit,
that's the feast or famine right there. Because like all of us on any of those roles, if we're feasting, we're feasting. If we're not, we're losing very badly.
It's because we only know how to win.
Yeah,
we cannot lose at all.
And any of us in any of those roles, if we start losing, we don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like if I start losing in jungle, I just start ganking. So I'm like, I don't know what else to do. So I'm just gonna gank.
I think it's because every time we fill, we have the rest of the team with us, and we're usually getting carried anyways.
Yeah.
So like if you have like 1 kill, like I kicked the jungler's ass. Like the scoreboard's like fucking 38-2, and you're like, yeah, I did it.
It's like, oh, I did really good in jungle. I went like 21-7. don't look at my 30-4 mid laner.
Yeah, exactly. You just ride the wave along.
Uh-huh.
But I think someone who we touched on a little bit was SHOX holding rank 1 for so long. SHOX was definitely really impressive. Which is like raw work ethic in that champion pool. We again give him a special shout out because I think he is the perennial rank 1 player on the server.
And
so
he plays the most. I think that's no one can argue that. He plays the most.
I did the math on it. He played 4,000 games of ranked League of Legends between seasons 5 to seasons 8. And I haven't even done the math for the other like 2-3 years since then. It's fucking crazy. SHOX has more game time than the entirety of our team combined. Which is nuts. Yeah.
He's the pinnacle of like I forced my way to the top.
Yes.
Like I did not let anyone bring me down. I grinded my games out. I got to the top.
SHOX is like perseverance incarnate because like if he loses, old SHOX when he was like tighter on the game, like he was more serious, SHOX would never let himself lose. He would be down or he'd be weak, but he wouldn't lose. SHOX was never the reason his team would lose. Now that SHOX has hit that peak and there's not a lot of people pushing him, he just played a lot more looser and a lot more like for fun. But peak SHOX is definitely a whole menace to society.
I feel like for people that maybe don't play League of Legends as actively, like 4,000 games probably sounds like a lot, but you have to understand these games, like for ranked games, especially for back in the day, like during those times, games were always like over half an hour in ranked.
Yes.
I feel like because that was before they, like, because we're playing on the sped up version of the game.
Yes.
Like I feel like people forget, like people that play right now forget about that. Like the game used to be like twice as slow. Like it was not a surprise if a game went an hour.
Yes, that was like standard. Like, oh yeah, like fucking an hour in, we can win.
Before you planned for a game to be 40 to 50 minutes. Now you plan for a game to be like half an hour. Usually, like maybe a little over. Yeah, and then not only that, ranked is like such a mental tax. Like anyone that's ever played League will tell you how bad the game is, like how trash the players are, like all this toxicity and stuff that comes from ranked.
Yes.
And he would play like 50 games in one day, just dealing with that back to back to back, just not caring. And like he just never let it get to him. Like it might get to him every now and then, but he just doesn't care and plays another one. But the fact that he's able to take that mental abuse, especially playing jungle, which is the most hated role in the game just because it gets flamed out so much. I feel like everyone loves to blame the jungler. Like I feel like your team collectively will hate your jungler. It's very likely. Like your team will collectively be more likely to hate your jungler than your mid laner, for instance. So just being able to take that tax, being the jungler, where the main focus is on him, because a lot of the team focuses on the jungler. So all the focus is on him. So he has that. He's under pressure because he's under pressure to perform, and it's ranked, so it's worth something. Then his team is on top of his case. On top of that, if he ever makes a single mistake, they're calling it out. And if he's not performing well, they're calling it out. If they're losing and he is performing well, they're still blaming him and calling him who knows what they're calling him, jungle gap, you're trash, you're garbage, I'm 0-11, I don't care, you're the worst.
Yeah, are you autofilled? Bad,
and to still
whatever.
Go through that game, perform well, go into the game right after and still perform well is crazy to me. And doing that 10 games in a row, I feel like I don't think I could do that.
SHOX averaged 14 games a day in League of Legends for 4 years straight. And League is very hard because of all of the variables you have to entertain, all of like the mental calcs that you have to do, like all the information you have to absorb in, like all that movement. And SHOX is not playing like very like widely recognized strong characters to make that easier. SHOX plays exactly what he believes in and like nothing else.
Yeah, he's not abusing the meta.
Who's like a mediocre to like good champion at times, sometimes the best champion. But it wasn't because the champion was good that he was playing it. He just fucking liked him. And he grinded like a motherfucker. And we have to put respect on that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I can never do what he did.
Him egoing us is also, I think, pushed some people to play ranked who normally wouldn't. Because he's got fucking annoyed at fucking SHOX punking us for the fucking elo diff.
I think the recommended amount of ranked games a day is like 3, right?
Yes.
For like stable climbing. He just said screw that.
Yeah, he went 14. Yeah, SHOX is crazy. I tried copying him in season 7, did not work out for me. I didn't even make it plat. But the last player I want to touch on is actually a recent one that also came with Nika. It's Peshka.
Oh yeah.
Peshka is just fucking good. Like we
straight
clipped
up
up
good at
him
the
a
game.
little bit, but he's just fucking insane. Peshka does everything.
Mhm.
Like in game, out of game, he'll run through matchups. He'll go through theory. He'll fucking he'll scout out shit. He'll play all 5 roles. And I don't know if this is the case for everyone else, but I feel like the existence of Peshka in League has definitely leveled up the server directly and indirectly, in the sense that he's constantly dueling with our support, and because he knows what's possible in that role for playing on a stronger server and a higher role, like he raised that ceiling for her, and having him there to fill in those games like lets us know what's possible on different roles. And sometimes we'll even talk shit and like argue with people about like this is better, this is worse.
I feel like I would say Pesh understands the game the best out of anyone on the server, hands down.
Yes.
Like,
Yes,
I
bar
don't
none.
think there's anyone to where I could have a conversation about top lane and like respect what Pesh is like. I don't think there's anyone on the server where I could have a conversation with them about top lane, respect their opinion, and like them give me their take on it, and me actually be like, huh, and like make me think about something, right?
Mhm.
And also be able to talk to like Cranked about mid lane and do the same
Mhm.
exact thing, and then like you about jungle and do the same exact thing.
Mhm.
Across all, I think you can talk to any player about any role or any position,
Mhm.
and he could take the game at a macro level or a micro level and just talk to you about it, because I feel like he has such a good understanding of the game. Where I feel like if there's someone I'm talking to, like I could never talk to you about jungle, right? Like
Yes.
not to a high degree. Like Cranked
Yes.
might be able to match you,
Yes.
talk about jungle, but I couldn't. And
Yes.
Cranked can't, like Cranked tries to talk to me about top lane, but sometimes he says some like wacky stuff where I'm like, what are you even talking about?
Yeah.
But like I feel like Pesh always has like such a good wrap around the game, and he can like see how things are. Like I feel like if there's a new rune to be introduced into the game or a new item, my money would be on Pesh to be able to predict how that item or rune would affect the game at like a fundamental level. And like once the dust is settled, like if all of us were to say how a new item would affect the game, once the dust is settled, I feel like Pesh would be the most accurate
Yes.
if I had to vote.
Pesh is basically the hidden coach, and the only reason he isn't full-on coaching and team captaining is because he's European. That's like the only reason why. If Peshka was not European, and once he moves down to Canada, the server levels up massively.
Once he
becomes
moves,
more
because he
available.
was in Canada for 3 months, 3 months.
2 months.
2 months. So it was awesome because he was always on, and like when he's in Europe, it's like we rarely get to see him, like maybe only a couple times a week. I mean, he'll chat and stuff, but it'll always be delayed, right? Because time zone difference. Like we're awake when he's asleep, so
Yeah.
it's kind of weird.
And it's also harder for him to like show us things, like force us to see reality, because Peshka can like 1v1 and force you to see a matchup. He's like, you don't think this is true, but it
the
is.
ping difference.
I will
we
make
can't
it.
actually. We can't play with
He
him
can,
to a good degree, and he can actually play with us and still do well on that 200 ping.
Yes, it's that's how fucking massively insane it is. And for everyone who's still watching, even though you get lost in like the League of Legends lingo, playing a 200 ping is the equivalent of like playing tennis on a delay. Like imagine
playing
you
with
had
like
like
a
a 3
half-second
second delay
delay.
playing tennis. Yeah.
Like on
It's
every
fucking
action you
crazy.
make, like every single thing you do, every step you take, every time you move a finger, he's on a half-second delay.
Yes. And all of that stacks up as things like constantly move, and there's like more people.
And
And not only is it tennis between him and his opponent, there's like 5 other motherfuckers also playing tennis.
There's
And he has
5
to, like,
other
process all
people
of them.
casting spells that cast instantaneously. Sometimes there's something sitting on the floor where you have to dodge it because it's going to come up in 1 second. So now, let's take Cho'Gath Q. So Cho'Gath has his Q called Rupture, where it will knock everyone up, but it's a big circle and it takes like 1 second to go off, right? So Pesh sees that go down. He doesn't have a whole second to get away from it like the rest of us. He has half a second to get out of it because he has to. He sees it, then he has to click, but it'll take his character half a second to be able to move out of it, and he's still able to dodge stuff like that. Like I feel like he should always get hit.
Yes, and even okay, NA Peshka is rank 1 every role, not contested. European Peshka is top 2, top 3. Like that's how fucking insane this man is. He's a whole fucking unit, and like the only reason he's not coaching is because he's European and he doesn't have that much time. But even in the 2 months that he was here on the server, in like the 1 week I saw him, everyone leveled up massively from just having him there to talk to and play against. It's fucking crazy. So we have to give him props.
And I feel like everyone kind of has that mutual respect for him, so they won't like really give him that much pushback, right? Like let's say Crank calls you out for a play. you'll give him some pushback, even if he's right. You'll give him some
Yeah.
pushback. If Pesh tells you what you did wrong, you're probably not going to give him that much pushback. You might say,
Yeah.
well, I did it because of this. And he'll be like, well, that's dumb because
No.
you could have just done
Yeah.
this. Right?
Yes.
And you're like, okay, I can't disagree
But-
with you because you're right. But,
Yeah. I
You
think the
know?
only reason I lead comms is because Pesh isn't there, and he does not care. That's it. If Pesh wanted to, he could. I'm more vocal than Pesh about what I want, and I'm better at understanding people because we've known each other longer. 6 years into the future, Pesh, if we are playing together, that guy is gonna be a fucking demon, for
Yeah.
sure. So we have to put that respect on.
I feel like
Um,
everyone on the server has gone up for sure.
Oh,
I'm really
for-
happy with
for
how
sure.
Scrims
I
went.
mean, our base elo used to be like fucking silver bronze. Like it was impressive that Crank had a gold border. We're like, oh, Crank Poggies, he's gold. I was like, Crank, do I dodge the bronze player? He has a border and I don't. He's gonna kick my ass. But we leveled up for sure. I'm really fucking excited to see where we go into the future with the server and how much better we get. Like not only in the game, but like as people, because people diff affects the game way more than people think it does. Like just getting along with each other and like taking care of ourselves.
And before we like go off, I just want to like shout out everyone that was there in the call that
Yes.
like wasn't playing. Like like Maddie and like Stanley were there and like some other people, but even the people that were part of our Scrim team but like were subbed out because they just weren't playing that game. As soon as we got out of those games, everyone unmuted. Wow, let's go. You guys are so good. You guys are great. That was such a good confidence boost.
Yeah,
Like
bro.
I was like, oh shit, we are good. We kicked their ass. Let's go. Like we when we were playing those games and like we did perform very well, right? The first game I would say maybe not as well, but we still like we were able to take a win. It was such like a nice like refresher. It was like a nice stress relief. Like it took us a lot of the pressure off because even though we were doing good, we were like cheering ourselves on. Just having that background of the people like of people from the server and like people that weren't playing just going, you guys are so good, you won, good job, congrats, was just like, oh, like a breath of relief. Like, wow,
it was like an adrenaline
know?
shot. I felt like I was a god
because we were playing like back to back essentially, like even though we had like a little bit of delay because of like bug issues and like difficulties and like setting up the draft and everything, so there was like a good like 20-minute gap between games. It's still like for me, because I like played all 3 games, right? It was like I was still in the game even in like the breaks. I was still thinking about like, who am I gonna play, what if he plays this guy, and then I need to pick this. But that like just that like 1 minute of everyone go like, you guys did good, you know, was such a good boost. And I think I really do think it made me play a lot better, and I feel like it made everyone else play a lot better. But personally speaking, I was like, that shot me up.
Game 2, we were confident in the game in those calls, like we were cheering ourselves on. But like that call and hearing that crowd, hearing that rush, that's like the fucking 200% boost. And then in game 3, we showed that off.
That's
because everyone on our team, we got comfort and we went on a fucking power trip. Like just having that crowd energy, they let us get our comfort champions, and we were all like riding that high so much that we just fucking stomp people. We were like, all right, you lose, it's over. We exist in this game.
Like I walked in because like when I'm naturally a confident player, right? I walk in the lane with confidence, but even like in a coordinated scenario, like when we play, I'm still nervous. Like I know that I can't start running it down, so. If I like make a mistake, I'm like, okay, I gotta back off. But just that extra boost of confidence from everyone else on the server, I feel like it made me make plays that I wouldn't normally be able to have taken. Just because I had that extra boost of confidence, be like, you know what, I can do this. I know that I'm a better player than this guy. I know that I can take this play, stuff like that. Where even though I wouldn't normally take it in a coordinated 5-man, I was able to take those plays and be confident in my decision and make it even that much more successful. So like close fights weren't as close, if that makes sense. So they were fights that I probably still would have won or we would have won, but I feel like they were just, the gap was just that much wider just because we were had that self boost, that confidence. You know, we believed in ourselves.
For sure, especially with that 200% boost, and that's why I think a lot of the server culture and a lot of the people on the server are really important to like how we play the game and like how because we grew up together. We've known each other for like. You and I have known each other for like damn near 7 years at this point. Yeah. Like we've grown up together into this family atmosphere that we mentioned before. That's why that server is like really important to us. And, like all the people in it and that like general like culture and that mood, which is kind of why we made this podcast, so people watching can kind of get to know us on and off the server. And next time, depending on how long this goes, Booher and I we're on the fence. We will want to do guests for sure. It's just figuring out when that schedules with people and
that's
getting them
confirmed.
on.
We want to do guests. It's just figuring out everyone's schedule and picking like a day. Okay, we're doing it this day. You know.
Yeah.
But we for sure know we want to take guests on.
Yes, because I think Booher and I, we see a lot of like skill, a lot of potential, a lot of like the big highlights, and we're very. I think there's a big, even though we talk about Peshka in League as having that like dominant respect over like everyone on the server has like a strong mutual respect, and I feel like if you look at like how a person min maxes themselves and how like they live, like how they think, how they like do things and spend their time, there's always that big gap that you can find with yourself and another person on the server that you just like have to respect. Sometimes the people who have those skills don't like want to show it off. So hopefully with this podcast, we can start bringing in people from the server and letting them step into the limelight a little bit.
Yeah, just let them get their perspective on things. Like you've heard us gassing all of them up. There's a couple we haven't mentioned, but like we're pretty much gassing everyone up here. But they might come on the call and be like, "Well, actually, this is how I live my life." They're trolling. I don't do this. I do this. You know, like they got it all wrong. But this is from our view, so it's like awesome to like see their view, and they can also give you like perspective on us and like other people on the server and like what they see, like things that we didn't even think of. This is we've only been talking for like an hour and a half. So, you know, we can't fit everything in. And it's only our perspective. Yeah,
it's only our perspective. It's only our first podcast. It all goes up from here. You know, fucking Full-INT this shit.
Go up from here. We're going up the ladder because we named the podcast Full-INT.
You forgot we named the fucking.
At some point, you gotta go down the stairs, right? And the fastest way.
Depending on the day, it's full intentional feed or full intelligence. Okay, it's a flip between.
I feel like today was a full intelligence.
Full intelligence, yeah. Maybe in the future that'll change.
Maybe episode whatever we'll have a counter. Like, all right, we got this one was an intelligent episode. We're talking about something dumb. Like, oh, we kind of trolled on this one. This one's an int.
I like how we begged our introduction to talk about fucking League of Legends.
Yeah.
Yeah, normally friendly, by the way. But no, this was really fun. I really I love talking to you here. I'm really looking forward to the future. I don't really have anything else to say, so if you have anything else, let the people know.
Hi. You're looking pretty good today. Thanks for watching the podcast. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
If you're on the server, you know you mean something to me. Keep yourself up there. Take care of yourself and stay healthy.
Yeah, and if you like the podcast and you want to, if you're on the server and you want to be a guest sometime, let us know your schedules. We could try and fit you in. We're still on the fence whether or not we're doing like bi-weekly or monthly because we just started this, but we're just trying to make it fun.
I mean, I know you've been talking on and off about doing a podcast for like a couple years now.
Yes.
Right? But like we kind of like just said the other day, let's do a podcast. We're like, all right.
Yeah.
So I was only like 2 days ago.
We came up with our name like literally like before we recorded this, so you know what?
Oh yeah, the name wasn't even supposed to be Full-INT.
Yeah, we'll tell that story.
We can do a story time for that at a different time. The whole naming process, that's a whole mission on its own. But I feel like it's a good place to leave it off, right?
Yeah. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Add us on Discord if you have us, and goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Play the music.